All right, hope you're all are having a nice week, start of the weekend. I'm looking forward to doing a weekend market update. I think this is probably the most important one from a um, from in terms of wind in our sails in these next 3 weeks that we've had since I've ever done these videos. And I'm going to get into that for uh, into why in a couple seconds here. First off, for the agenda, I'm going to keep it really simple. I'm going to do Bitcoin and I'm going to do SPY. I've been taking a lot of requests from the members. And so the members videos updates this week, what did we do? We did a lot. We did a lot of the Bitcoin miners. We did MicroStrategy. We did, um, what did we do? We did a bunch of altcoins. We did silver. We did gold. We did Mobileye. We did Lucid. We did Palantir, we did SUI, uh, we did Semler, we did, and I have a couple more. I have a couple more recent ones that I'm going to add to the next videos that are coming out this weekend as well. I've got those on the list. Try to get to as many of them as I can, time permitting. But anyway, what are we looking at right now? We're looking at the Bitcoin weekly chart, okay, folks. And as you know, I'm a pretty simple man. I like to evaluate things from three perspectives, right? From an Elliott wave perspective, from a Wyckoff perspective, from a trend perspective. There isn't much to evaluate on Bitcoin from a trend perspective because if I've got the weekly up, we've got our 30-week. This is clearly a stage two uptrend. It's been a stage two uptrend. It's been in a stage two uptrend for some time now with these little pit stops, right? These little pit stops where you get under the 30-week, right? We've had that 30-week. And then what happens as soon as we get out in the character of these uptrends, out of these out of the fake out under the 30-week? Well, you've got a snapback reaction that lasts a few weeks, and then we've had a consolidation. So far, same time frame, snapback reaction, and then a few week consolidation. And then we've got continuation. And then I'm expecting, in the character of this entire rally from a trend perspective, the same thing to unfold here, continuation. From an Elliott wave perspective, it lines up very nicely, right? We had our one flat correction, okay, two, and then we're working on, um, impulsive movement here, A, B, C, and, a 3, 4 type of movement. And now, we're working on five. That's my opinion. And so when we look at the character of the impulses, that's the most important thing for me. The character of the impulses in this entire uptrend. And so the character of these impulses have been very, very similar throughout the first impulse, the third impulse, and now I believe with this fifth impulse, the character is going to mimic closely what we've seen in the past. And the character of these impulses can be best illustrated with an image, right? Flag, pole, flag. What's a flag pole? That's an impulse. What's the flag is the consolidation, whether it's a 1-2 correction, right? Or a 3-4 triangle. Triangle is going to look like a pennant, right? Your triangle is going to be a triangle correction, pennant, right? These things are all the same thing. They're just corrective patterns, consolidation patterns following impulses. And so if we look at the continuation of these impulses, typically you see in assets, not just Bitcoin, that flagpole, the energy expressed in the flagpole is the energy expressed in the continuation, a minimum expression. Sometimes they're more, right? If you get an extended third wave, right? So 1, 2, and then sometimes you can get an extended 3, 4, 5. The energy expressed is greater. Same thing can hold true for the 5. I've been contending we're in what I believe is an extended fifth wave. Okay, extended fifth wave. And so we had a 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I'm expecting 5 to be the largest wave for various reasons that I've gone through on these videos. In terms of the wall of worry that we're climbing, in terms of not hearing from anyone at 100K. No one's congratulated me on Bitcoin being $100,000. That doesn't make any sense. If you were to tell people back in, let's just say August of 2024 at 50,000, we're going to be at 100,000 before the end of the year, they'd probably call you crazy. But here we are at over 100,000, and there's no euphoria in the market. Funding is far muter than it ever was at all-time high levels in early 2021, late 2020. Funding is far less than it was, which is just a signal that the froth, there is much less froth in this market right now when the price is much higher. And that should be the opposite. Okay. That should be the opposite. We had, and this makes sense too, folks. This was, in essence, you had a 1, 2 extended third, fourth, short 5. Okay. This is what an extension looks like. And funding here was massive, massive. And why was it massive? Because we had an extended third wave. And so those are just some of the reasons that I see us developing into an extended fifth wave. Now, energy expression, let's get back to it in this exercise. And so if we look at coming into this first impulse, okay, that pole was expressed with a certain amount of energy. The release of that energy with the same expression would have gotten you to 51,929. We got to the 2272 extension, which was at 73,000, 72,000. Okay, and when that extension is impulse, origin of impulse, extension. So 1, 0 is where it's anchored, and then the expression. Where did we see a consolidation? We saw a consolidation at the 1618 extension 1 anchor 1618. We saw a weekly consolidation in that range. Where are we right now? Well, we have our impulse, our energy, our flagpole. We have our consolidation, our flag for all intents and purposes. And then the energy being expressed coming out of it right now. The 1618 is 142, folks. 142. So we haven't even met the technical requirements of a multi-week, potential multi-month consolidation when we look at the character of these impulses and consolidations prior. And just a reminder, folks, I'm not a financial advisor. I always have to say this. Don't take what I'm saying as financial advice. I'm just doing this because I enjoy it. This is my conviction. I hope to educate and, do your own research. Anyway, 1618. So 1618, the 142 level is where at a minimum I would expect to see some consolidation. And that's where I have this 3, 4. Okay. Prior to a move 5, which, the 2272 extension, which would be the same as this extension in 3, is 285,000. So now you see why I've raised my targets. Okay, you've got some context into why I've done that. Now let's just take a look at this concept, right? And see if it applies anywhere else in similar structures and similar time. Well, when was the last time we had an election year? During the Santa Claus rally period, in the most bullish time for risk assets, the last 2 weeks of December and the first week of January. Traditionally, in an election cycle, those last 2 weeks of December and the first week of January are the most bullish, according to the data, by far. And so let's go look at that last time that same period presented itself with Bitcoin. And what do we see here? Well, that's this period right here, folks. That's this period right here, coming out of, 1, 2, 1, 2, for beginning part of the impulse. Let's put this 30 week up, right? The 30 week was, trying to flatten out here, just started to coil back up, similar type of movement, similar, not the same. And, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 weeks of vertical accumulation, very similar. What was the power of the move that came into the vertical accumulation? There it is. That's the impulse. How was that impulse expressed coming out? There it is. There's the pole. What was the technical target of that energy? 37,000. Where did Bitcoin end up going? It exceeded it to the tune of 42,000. Okay. Hence the extended third wave. The extended third wave. And so very similar in time. When was this? November, end of November, early December. And so the last 2 weeks of December, and then the first week of January, surprise, surprise, right? Where you just saw, what do we see? We saw a movement in Bitcoin of 121%. 121%. Let's just have some fun here. I don't think this is going to happen, right? I don't think this is going to happen. I just explained what my target is coming out of this, and I don't like to put time on it because time is very difficult. The target's 142, minimum 132, but the average target here is 142 coming out of this. And again, I don't care about time. I'm not saying this is going to happen in the next 3 weeks. It could happen in the next week. It could happen in the next 2 weeks. It could happen in the next month, 2 months. Who knows? But from here, what's 122%? 120, 209,000. Okay? 209,000. Just to give you an idea of how easy a move to 142 would be in the context of the seasonality, the election cycle, where we are in this impulse, so on and so forth, folks. All right, so that's the high time frame. The low time frame, I'm going to do a bit more in the members videos to give you some of the things I'm seeing in terms of alternate routes. Those are the least accurate, right? You know that. The lower the time frame, the less accurate you're going to get. But I like to speculate, and that's where I'll do it. Uh, but not as important because there's nothing actionable here, right? If you're a high time, if you've held Bitcoin and accumulated wherever you did from far lower than here, then there's nothing to be done here. Who can, let's say it takes a stab back down to 96 or 97 to the bottom of this channel. Great. Hopefully it wipes some leverage out, and then then the move up is just that much quicker. Um, all right, next is SPY. SPY is looking fantastic. This is the count that I posted on Twitter. I don't remember the last time I reviewed here, but it's playing out pretty close. It's playing out pretty close. Again, in terms of seasonality, things are looking, and again, the only thing that makes me, um, potentially pause because I'm so contrarian is the fact that this is public knowledge, right? The historical last 2 weeks, first week of January. Everybody knows this. That's why it's called the Santa Claus Rally, and yet it's still the best performing. And I think it has more to do with fund flows and positioning and things that just overwhelm, whether or not you know it or not. But we'll see. Regardless, the count is lining up, right? The count here is lining up where we had a one ABC2 movement, 3, 4, and then coming out of this 3, 4 in October, 1, 2, potential 3, 4 flat correction here. Maybe a little bit further down into early next week, who knows? But again, the last 3 weeks are lining up with these wave counts beautifully. And so 630, 640, 650, none of those numbers would surprise me at all in terms of the next move for SPY. So folks, that's it. Hope you enjoy the content. Like I said, I'll be posting a lot more on the members videos. I don't know, about 10, 15 of those a week. So if you're interested in getting more content, that's where you'll get it. And I take requests as well. So take care. Hope you have a great rest of the weekend.